Night fell over Elmwood, a small town that looked like it was taken from an old painting. Narrow streets lined with Victorian architecture houses and a mysterious atmosphere that hung in the air. In the heart of Elmwood, standing out from the traditional buildings, was the bookstore The Macabre Code. The store was famous in the city, but not with the reputation that any commercial establishment would like to have. The Macabre Codex was a relic of the past, a place where old and rare books were stacked on dusty shelves. During the day, the store attracted curious people looking for rare editions of literary classics. But at night, its dark and mysterious facade made even the bravest hesitate to pass by. Alice, a young college student, was an avid reader of horror and mystery stories. Her fascination with supernatural plots and occult secrets led her to explore libraries and antique bookstores. However, the store The Macabre Code had always intrigued her more than any other. Elmwood residents told scary stories about the store. They said it was cursed, that books whispered dark secrets at night, and that sinister apparitions were seen among the shelves. But Alice was fearless and curious, and her friends' warnings only sharpened her desire to explore the store. One night, under cover of darkness, Alice decided it was the perfect opportunity to unravel the mysteries of the Macabre Codex. She walked through the deserted streets of Elmwood until she reached the store's entrance. The facade was imposing, with a single wooden door that looked like it had seen centuries of use. With a tentative touch, Alice pushed open the door, which creaked in protest, as if welcoming her into a world of shadows. She entered the store, and the dim light of old candles illuminated the interior, creating a mysterious atmosphere. The shelves stretched to the ceiling, loaded with dusty volumes bound in weathered leather. The air was thick and charged with history, as if books held the secrets of the past. Alice explored the shelves, her fingers passing over the worn covers and yellowed pages. She was ecstatic, losing herself in the words of long-dead authors. As she leafed through an enigmatic book, an unsettling sensation enveloped her. The subtle murmur of whispering voices filled the air, as if the books themselves were trying to share forbidden secrets. Alice turned around, but saw no one nearby. The candles on the shelves seemed to dance to the rhythm of an invisible melody. As she explored the store, Alice found a section that intrigued her. The shelves displayed a carved metal plaque that read, "Curses and Mysteries." It was a section that seemed to promise stories that went beyond what the human mind could comprehend. There, a book caught Alice's attention. Its leather cover was worn, and the yellowed pages indicated that it had been neglected for many years. The title, "The Secret of the Macabre Codex," attracted him like a magnet. She pulled the book from the dusty shelf, and as she did so, a shiver ran down her spine. Alice found a shadowy corner of the store to sit down and immerse herself in the contents of the book. As the words flowed before his eyes, the feeling of uneasiness grew. The Secret of the Macabre Codex told the story of the store and its founder, an obscure occultist named Nathaniel Blackwood. According to the book, Blackwood had established the Macabre Codex in the 19th century. He claimed to have discovered an ancient codex that contained forbidden knowledge and dark powers. The store served as a refuge for those seeking hidden secrets and dark knowledge that defied human understanding. However, the book warned that those who ventured in search of this power would invariably be cursed. People mysteriously disappeared, and stories of supernatural forces tormenting those who dared explore the bookstore's secrets were rife. Alice delved deeper into reading the book, captivated by the intriguing story that revealed the dark origin of the Macabre Codex. The Codex, according to the narrative, contained forbidden spells, invocations, and promises of immortality. Nathaniel Blackwood believed that the knowledge contained within the pages of the Codex could grant him unimaginable powers. As Alice turned the yellowed pages, macabre stories emerged. People who had frequented the store in search of hidden secrets had disappeared without a trace, as if the Codex itself had devoured them. Others reported terrifying encounters with supernatural entities that seemed to be summoned by the store's secrets. The book described dark rituals performed by Nathaniel Blackwood and his followers, rituals that involved blood, sacrifices, and invocations to dark entities. As the words passed before her eyes, Alice felt a tightness in her chest, as if the store itself was watching her. The whispers from the pages echoed in his ears, becoming clearer and clearer. Alice could no longer deny the feeling that something strange was happening around her. The candlelight seemed to flicker, casting grotesque shadows on the shop walls. Indistinct sounds echoed through the air, like murmurs of invisible beings. The young student was immersed in the book, so absorbed by the words that she barely noticed when the candles began to go out one by one. She felt a chill run down her spine and looked up from the yellowing pages. The store felt different, darker, more oppressive. Alice tried to find the exit, but the store had transformed. The aisles seemed longer, the shelves stretched to infinity, and the atmosphere was permeated with an unsettling presence. The candles on the shelves were all out, and darkness seemed to close in on her. She started walking, but the corridor seemed to have no end. The store was like a maze that played with your expectations, as if the walls were moving, changing the landscape around you. Alice was lost in the store that seemed alive. Whispers and murmurs increased in intensity, as if the pages of the books themselves were whispering to her. Shadows moved at the edges of his vision, as if the stories contained within the volumes were coming to life. She continued to walk, trying to find the exit, but the store took her in circles. The feeling of being watched intensified, and Alice could barely contain the fear that enveloped her. As she turned a hallway, Alice came face to face with an old mirror that reflected a distorted version of herself. His reflection seemed distant, with empty eyes and a demonic expression. She stepped back, stunned by what she saw, but the reflection in the mirror didn't move as she did. The mirror, however, did not just reflect a distorted image. A sinister figure emerged from the mirror frame, as if detaching itself from reality. The entity seemed to writhe and distort, a mass of shadows and terror. Alice turned and fled, running desperately through the dark corridors, but the figure in the mirror pursued her. Every aisle she turned took her back to the same point, as if the store itself was amusing herself with her desperation. The air was filled with an ominous presence, and the shadows seemed to writhe, dancing around her. As Alice ran, the sound of the mirror shattering echoed through the halls, and she was finally able to escape the figure chasing her. However, she was even more lost than before, and the store seemed to be closing in on her, as if it wanted to keep her prisoner. The rustling of the book pages became deafening, and Alice realized that the store was determined to keep her captive, a victim of its insatiable quest for knowledge. She found herself at a supernatural crossroads, facing a curse that had been awakened by her own curiosity. The store was determined not to let her get away. Alice was entangled in the clutches of the bookstore curse, the Macabre Codex. The store had turned into a sinister maze, and the air was permeated with an evil presence. She felt as if she were being watched by invisible eyes, as if the store itself was alive and watching her. The young student continued to run through the dark corridors, her footsteps echoing against the dusty shelves of old books. Shadows and sinister apparitions seemed to appear from all sides, haunting their steps. The candles on the shelves danced with dim light, casting grotesque shadows that followed her like hungry specters. With each aisle she turned, Alice found herself back in the same spot, as if the store itself was enjoying her anguish. She felt fear tighten in her chest as the curse enveloped her more and more. This was no longer a simple bookstore. It was a supernatural nightmare that prevented her from escaping. She then spotted an antique mirror on a wall, its surface worn and stained. In it, he saw his own image, but a distorted and terrifying image. His reflection looked distant and empty, with lifeless eyes and a demonic smile. She backed away, terrified, but the reflection in the mirror didn't move as she did. Suddenly, the mirror began to shake and shudder, as if it was about to break. From within, a shadowy figure emerged. It was as if the store itself was projecting itself through a mirror, manifesting a sinister, distorted entity. Alice turned and fled, running through the shadowy corridors, but the figure in the mirror pursued her relentlessly. The feeling that something supernatural was behind her was overwhelming. Shadows danced around her, and the whispers from the pages of books seemed to become clearer, as if the books themselves were whispering to her. In her mad dash, Alice came across what appeared to be a dead end. The walls of the store closed in around him, and the figure in the mirror approached. Desperate, she looked for a way out, but the walls seemed to move, preventing her from moving forward. The entity approached, and Alice felt its icy presence. It was as if she was about to be absorbed by the store's curse. With one last sigh of despair, Alice closed her eyes and waited for the worst. But suddenly, The sound of breaking glass echoed through the halls. She opened her eyes and saw the mirror shatter into countless pieces. The shadowy figure that had chased her disappeared, and Alice was alone in an empty hallway, lit by the candles that had lit up again. Relief washed over her, but she knew she was still trapped in the store. The curse wouldn't let her off so easily. Alice continued to explore the dark corridors, determined to find a way to break the spell that kept her prisoner. She was determined to face the curse she had awakened with her insatiable curiosity. As she walked, Alice noticed that the books on the shelves seemed to contain stories that reflected her own deepest fears and secrets. Sinister characters emerged from the pages, calling for revenge and a desire for forbidden knowledge. It was as if the books were trying to drag her into their own terrifying narratives. The rustle of book pages became a cacophony of voices, whispers, and sinister laughter. She struggled to maintain her sanity as the stories in the books seemed to merge with reality. Shadows twisted, candles flickered, and the store seemed to vibrate with a dark energy. Alice knew she needed to find a way out before the curse consumed her completely. The store was willing to challenge her resolve, but she would not give up. She continued her search, determined to face the terror that enveloped her and find a way to break the curse of the Macabre Codex. Alice continued her dogged search for a way out in the cursed store of the Macabre Codex. Every hallway seemed to be a dead end, and the shelves of books seemed to stretch endlessly. The feeling that something sinister was watching her persisted, but she refused to give in to fear. As she explored the shadowy hallways, Alice noticed that the books on the shelves seemed to reflect her own deepest fears and secrets. Sinister characters emerged from the pages, calling for revenge and revealing desires for forbidden knowledge. It was as if the books were trying to drag her into their terrifying narratives. The constant murmur of the book pages intensified, turning into a cacophony of voices, whispers, and sinister laughter. Alice struggled to maintain her sanity as the stories in the books seemed to merge with reality. Shadows danced around him, candles flickered, and the store seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly energy. She knew that the key to escaping the curse of the Macabre Codex was within herself. The store was determined to test her, to force her to face her deepest fears and secrets. The young student took a deep breath and continued her journey through the supernatural labyrinth. Finally, after exploring dark corridors and facing terrifying apparitions, Alice found the section that contained the book that had awakened the curse, The Secret of the Macabre Codex. She picked up the book, the pages of which seemed to pulse with a dark energy. As Alice read the book's final words, the store shook and the ominous apparitions began to disappear. The mirror that had chased her shattered into countless pieces, and the shadows dispersed like smoke. The young student found herself in an empty and silent corridor, lit by the candles that had lit up again. With a sigh of relief, Alice left the gloomy bookstore. The curse that had kept her prisoner had finally been broken. Elmwood would never be the same, but the Macabre Codex store would continue to attract those seeking dark secrets. The city was calm and serene under the moonlight, and Alice knew that her experience had changed her forever. She had faced the terror and curse that had haunted her and emerged stronger, aware of the dangers of seeking the unknown. Elmwood would not be the same, but the young student had learned to respect the power of forbidden secrets. The next day, the store, the Macabre Code, remained closed, as if it had disappeared into the darkness of the night. Elmwood residents looked at the sight with a sense of relief, but the store had left its indelible mark on the town. Those who knew of the curse that haunted her kept their distance, while others remained drawn to the forbidden mystery she contained. Elmwood would never be the same after the night Alice faced the bookstore's supernatural terror. The secret of the Macabre Codex had been unlocked, but the forbidden knowledge the store held remained a mystery. The city now bore the weight of its sinister histories, and those who ventured into its narrow streets looked with apprehension at the time-defying store's grim facade. As the sun set and darkness fell over Elmwood, those who knew the story whispered about the curse that might still hang over the town. The store, the Macabre Codex, had been sealed, but the hidden secrets it held remained alive in the memories of those who dared face the supernatural terror of the curse of forbidden words.